Trong, thanks for joining us on the pair program. This is another bonus episode of a mini series that we call How We Hatched. So today we have Trong Bui, is that right?
That's correct.
Who is the president and CEO of Vidoori, an IT consulting firm supporting both government and commercial customers with tech modernization projects. Trong, I'm excited to hear a little bit more about your journey as an entrepreneur and a little bit more on Vidoori. Thank you for joining us on the pod.
Thank you.
All right. Now, before we dive in, I always like to start with a pretty deep question off the break. What is it that Trong Bui had for breakfast this morning?
Trong Bui actually an exception today because I normally have juice only for breakfast. Today, I actually have egg for breakfast, which is been a while since I do that.
So, a little wild card. How do you like your eggs cooked?
Sunny side up.
Sunny side up. All right, that's my kind of guy. Well, let's flip this. Let's flip this directly into how we lead off any of these How We Hatched episodes. We'll have an opportunity to talk a little bit more about the projects that you guys are working on at Vidoori. But before we dive into that, we like to really, peel back the onion on the entrepreneur themselves and hear a little bit more about your journey behind the business. So let's start there. Why don't you talk to me a little bit about your background? Where did you grow up and what kind of got you into the world of tech?
Oh, okay. Accident, I would say that. I'll start with that. But I am first generation in U.S. So my parent moved here in 1992. I was like 17 at the time. I started 11th grade, high school in here in Maryland. So I moved to South Carolina first, Charleston, South Carolina. So if you just picture this, 1992, come from Vietnam, right? Moved to Charleston, South Carolina in 1992. And now people don't understand, right? 1992. There for like 4-ish months and then moved up here in Baltimore, Maryland, right? In high school here. So you can see from Vietnam, Charleston, South Carolina, and then Baltimore City, inner city, not even counties, inner city, Baltimore City in 1992. So you can imagine, talk about culture shock, right? I got shocked like 3 times, right? Or 2 times.
Stuck out like a sore thumb in Charleston.
Oh, yeah. Sure. I can't even sort out like a sore thumb any more than that. So I'm probably I'm the only 2 Asian in Charleston, South Carolina. And then I moved up here and I'm among 17 Asian in inner city Baltimore. So as you can imagine.
Yeah. And it is also somebody from the DMV region. Baltimore's a little bit on the outskirts, but not the most comfortable of environments at times. Being in Baltimore,
to say the least, also I not know enough to know how that is either, right? So you just got to US. Now I can look back and say, holy crap, I just grew up in Baltimore, not too far from, where they're shooting the wire, right?
Yeah.
North Street, right? North Shore, right?
That's where most folks go when they hear Baltimore. They think of the wire.
Exactly. That's the wire show, right? I'm about 10 minutes from it. So, my high school no longer exists. I just
wow.
So at the time, didn't know any better, right? But now looking back, I'm like, holy smoking cow. So have a year and a half high school, right? So I start kind of middle of high school, 11th grade, finished my 12th grade there, graduate from Northern High, apply for a bunch of school, like 4 of them. Always want to go to Clemson. Clemson only give me half scholarship. So, and it's a lot of money at the time. It's 17K a year, I think I have to pay. And at the time, it's a lot of money for us, just moved to US. Morgan State give me a full ride. So I stay in town to go to Morgan State for 4 years. The reason I picked Morgan State and Clemson because they're engineering school, right? So they're electrical engineering school. They both have their own engineering school, right? So Morgan State is very few in the area have their own engineering school, separate from the rest of the school. So that's why I picked Morgan State and Clemson to apply for. And since I didn't go to Clemson, which I did, but I didn't go to Clemson, I stayed for Morgan State. And my original major is electrical engineering.
Okay.
Right? Now, as a freshman showed up, didn't know much better. Couldn't get any class for the first 2 semesters because all the senior took all the class, right? You got first to last. So I decided to took a bunch of comp sci class, and next thing I know, I'm a computer science major. I think I didn't change my major until I think after my second year. The dean over electrical engineering is like, "Hey, you haven't taken any class for electrical engineering. What are you going to take some?" I was like, "No, I think I'm going to switch to comp sci." She's like, but you haven't taken any class." I say, "No, I'm good. I'm going to comp sci." So I'm a very few first few comp sci major come out of Morgan State at the time.
And so is the background or the passion for studying electrical engineering originally, did that come from your parents or?
Yeah, come from my dad. Comp sci were somewhat new at the time. And you remember that's when the .com were booming, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the late 90s, the .com were booming. But in the 93, 94, computer science isn't as popular as computer science today, right? Mm-hmm. I remember I had to take Pascal, my first programming class, and after the first semester, they took that off the syllabus. So it wasn't as popular at the time, right? And when I go to comp sci, I decided to stay in comp sci. I pushed really hard to get out of Morgan in 3 years and a half. So I took a lot of credit. I think the last 4 semesters, I have like 21, 22 credit a semester or something like that. So I try to get out. So I get out. I graduate from Morgan in the fall of 98, 3 years and a half. And thank God I did, because, the .com was booming at the time, right? I mean, everyone hiring everyone, right?
Yeah.
I remember hiring like accountant to be, computer science because
yeah.
And so, which is good, right? I got a job offer. I was working for 2 years, and then the .com bubble blow up and nobody could get a job anymore, right? So that's how I start. Well, my first job was with Lockheed Martin. Except that's the last offer I got, and I got an offer in California. I got an offer in New Jersey from one of the bank. They just break up the bank, right? By bank. So I got the job offer up in Red Bank area, was one of the Bell company. I'm sorry, one of the Bell company break up. So I job off there, and I went in California, and my parents wanted me to stay in town because they got a little older. So I took the Lockheed Martin job. Mm-hmm. Because of, I go to the interview without even have a plan to work for Lockheed Martin. I just go because they give me a hotel down in DC, right? Mm-hmm. I got down in Crystal City. So it's like Sunday night, get a free hotel in Crystal City. Like, why not? I'm going to interview on Monday. So a bunch of me and my body go down there, hang out on Sunday night. Obviously, I got hangover on Monday. And they still give me a job. So I worked for Lockheed Martin for 14 plus years.
Yeah, that's an insane tenure to have. You don't see that too often these days.
I wasn't planning to stay for that long. I said, I'm going to start with here for a couple of years. Maybe I move out to the West, because I got an intern in the West at some point. So I'm situation with my parents. I move out to the West, and next thing I know, I spent my almost entire career with Lockheed Martin.
And so Lockheed, obviously being one of the big defense primes in this area, had you had any exposure to defense contracting prior to that? Did you?
Not directly. Majority of my work with Lockheed, I would say out of the 14 year, probably 12-ish year is non-defense stuff. One of the defense contract, indirectly, one of the defense contract I work on is to build integration. So Lockheed have a bunch of defense contract, right? Build a lot of system for very different branch in the military, right? So they're building for the Air Force and Army and the Navy. So one of the guy, one executive over there, and say, it'd be cool if we can integrate them all together and show the DoD that all our system can work together. So I'm one of the guys who work on that we call the high vision program to really integrate all of that system together. So I did it for like a year and a half or so. And then I left. I left to go to one of the census programs, the Canadian census program. So I really work on indirectly with the DoD for like a year and a half. Not charging DoD, but really more prototype R&D type of DoD. So we do a lot of demo to a lot of general 4-star, 3-star general, and all of that stuff. So they come over and we giving out demo and stuff for them. But I don't technically work for DoD.
And so talk to me a little bit about, these other projects that you worked on here at Lockheed, like the census projects, right? Because it sounds like this could be, a little bit of a foreshadowing on, how you start to groom your business later on in life.
Yeah. And I say, I told you this is an accident that I work for Lockheed. It's an accident that I work for Lockheed and get Joy Lockheed to support the census contract, right? So I start my journey with the 2000 census. Right. So our first job with Lockheed, and I started to support 2000 census. And I did, up to today, I did 3 US census, 2 Canadian and 2 UK census. So I'm in this census practice from Lockheed Martin. So for them, they have this called civil division. So all of the contract is on a non-DoD type contract. So
sure.
In that group, that group. So what we call our division is the census. So they go bid on all of the census across the world, right? We bid on the Argentina. Unfortunately, we pulled out from it. Australia, but probably the 3 leading country in the world to really count the census is Canadian, UK, and US. So I did all.
And so your role within these, projects were, more hands-on, right? Or were you in a leadership position with these?
Yeah. So at the beginning, 2000 census, certainly fresh out of college, right? In 2000 that I wrote my first test. I'm a integration and test. So my first test is the Y2K test. I don't even remember. Everyone freaked out about, the 2000 ACOM and everything going to fall apart and all of that stuff. So I'm run the test on the system to make sure the system run when, the year 2000 come around, right? So that's 2000 census. So that's my first test. So I grow from there, and I grow up the rank within Lockheed. So I got from there, I go to within a month, I think they sent me to the site as one of the few engineering to in charge of one of the site in Baltimore. At the time I'm leaving census, leaving Lockheed Martin, I'm more of the chip engineering area. Or I become, before that, I become like an integration and test practice lead. So I own all of the integration and test for that particular division. And then I go to Australia to do helping out some stuff in Australia after the 2010 census over. And that's kind of my last project with census with Lockheed Martin.
With Lockheed.
I actually left Lockheed when I was in Australia.
Yeah, interesting. So, I bring it up because, for one, I have a number of friends that work at Lockheed, and one of the things I've always felt that they do really well is create career tracks for folks. Create these levels of opportunity for someone to, incentive to stick around, which I guess it's kind of a, reflection of, a 12 and a half year kind of career here. Clearly they're doing something to keep folks around. And, I want to look at this from the lens of, a business owner. What would you say are some of those key areas that you felt really translated over to, when you ended up standing up your business at Vidoori? What were some of those key areas that you felt were essential in the grooming of your background there?
I would say, in my personal opinion, it's all about a fundamental, right? At the end of the day, it's about a fundamental. For you to be successful, a lot of things that you need to have to be successful in open business, right? But the 2 fundamental one is, number one, you have to have relationship, right? Relationship is everything. Who you know is very important. So Lockheed definitely give me that opportunity to get to know a lot of people in the industry, right? They partner with a lot of companies. They've got a lot of stuff from the large to the small business. I know a lot of IBM folks. I know a lot of GDIT. I know a lot of people in the industry. And your customer, right? You got exposure to the customer. You build a relationship with your customer. So that's the fundamental foundation of it. And not just knowing them professionally, but knowing them somewhat personally as well. Because every relationship has to have some personal aspect into it if you really want to grow, right? So that's, for me, that probably the most important. And I think that probably the one piece of thing that I think the new generation that coming out from college and all that stuff now, that really underestimate how important that is, especially with the remote work and all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
You can't really build relationship through team, right?
Zoom calls. No, you can't.
Right, you just don't, right? And that really, for me, that important. The second thing important is Lockheed Martin is a large company. They're very structured. They're very structure oriented. They know what the right way to do things. So you can learn that from a lot of smart people, right? In very different skill set that they have, very different style of management that they have, and be in person, be working with them, you learn a very different way to manage people because nobody is the same, right? And not in any individual that you're going to lead going to be the same, right? Everyone different, and you have to manage them different. You got to talk to them different. If your goal really to try to get them to do the thing that you want them to do, right? So whatever method you want to apply, that is your goal, right? Yelling at people may not be the most effective way to do it. Be soft to people may not be an effective way for some people. So you got to figure out how to do that and be at the large company like Lockheed Martin that give me an opportunity to learn from a lot of people, different style of management, different style of handle customer, handle employee, work with the peer and all of those stuff. And when you have all of those stuff, and among other things, your technical skill set and all of that stuff, but you have the two, for me, that's the biggest part for me to be success, right? Is know how to build a relationship, understand how important that is, have the metallic way to get there, right? To build, whether a 2-person company or a 100-person company, that I can apply that to anywhere in between, right? So that helped me.
Yeah, I think those are two spot on, foundational pieces for any entrepreneur that's growing a team. That's beyond just like a one person shop, right? Is that management piece? But I'd say I agree with you. The most important is the relationship piece, right? Especially if it's founder led sales, right? If you are the one kind of scaling the business, you need to come to the table with those contacts and the relationships in place. And, being at a place for that long with a company that has that type of reputation, like a Lockheed Martin does, it's invaluable, so you clearly saw that firsthand.
I say the people, even though, forget about the people you work for, your peer at the time. I mean, a lot of business that Vidoori have when we just start, a lot of business we got from my peer, right? My peer working for a company, and they know what I can do. They know my talent. They know my ethic. How do I want to get the job done the right way? They know that when they work side to side with me. So I don't just show my boss, but I also make sure that all my peers understand who I am and what. So I'm not just managing up, right? I'm managing all the way around, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of business we just start is from my peer that I work with, Lockheed Martin.
Yeah, same. I run a small business that we've been running for 15 years now, and a lot of what we do as a consulting firm really stemmed from a lot of the relationships that I'd made just in previous corporate experience. Now, I 100% agree with you that those relationships could not have been formulated if we didn't have some level of in-person interaction. Going to the company happy hours, going out to dinners, you don't get that. And I have similar concerns for the next generation that aren't going into an office and building out those, not just social skills, but those relationships, right? Those are so important. A lot of folks that kind of build out, government consulting or just consulting firms at large, right? They usually will start as an independent consultant first, kind of establish a few clients and then start hiring up employees. Can you talk to me about that transition point from when you felt the confidence of making that leap and then how it came about?
Like I say, when I left Lockheed, I just think I'm done, right? I stopped learning. I started reporting to somebody who I teach them what to do, kind of. So it's time for me to move on, right? I left Lockheed when I went to Australia. A lot of people ping me. It was like, I heard you leaving and you got something lined up. I was like, no, I'm in Australia. I can't get an interview in Australia. No, I have a plan to open a company either, right? So I left Lockheed in 2011, late 2011. And I was like, at the point, I just like, it's time for me to go, uh, it's Lockheed changed at the time. I stopped learning. I report to the people I report to that know a lot less than I do, right? So like I'm not growing my career.
Yeah.
I get paid enough, right? And I'm in Australia. I mean, in Australia, a couple of months is fun, but in Australia, so 6 months is not no longer fun, right? So this home and everything. So I left Lockheed in August of 2011. I think I took a couple of months off, and again, one of the peer that I work with, that he's like, "Why don't you come and help us for 6 months?" Right? While you decide what to do, I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to come help you 6 months." It was 6 months. I just detox and settled out a little bit, and like I start Vidoori in April, in one of the contract that I'm on with that company that I help. I was like, "Hey, this perfect fit into my skill set. I'm going to start here." And then along that, I have some connection from an external firm, a more commercial firm that, wants support in, the integration and test area, which is kind of the bread and butter of Vidoori at the time, right? And for many years before we grow out into 3 other disciplines that we currently have today, 4 total now. But we start. There's a lot of people that I work for me at Lockheed. I told them, a lot of them still here actually. I told them that please don't quit Lockheed until I figure out, the situation
for you. Yeah.
Yeah, but a couple of them just decide to quit and just roll in my driveway, and with up at the door, and I remember his name is Nick, and it's like he opened the car, walking out with a smirking smile. I was like, please tell me you're not quitting. He's like, yes, I did. I was like, but no rush. I mean, I have some time. I can take off. I was like, you killing me. So I'm running around fighting opportunity to get to hiring him. And he's one of the 3 that are hiring right at the beginning of Vidoori. So we probably got 4 or 5 of us to start at the beginning. And
not all of them were basically a billable or tied to
they're billable. So I got to run around asking for a favor and, all of those stuff. And I'm barely enough to pay them, right? So my rate was just, if I break even, I'll be happy, right? I just want to get him in because, obviously they quit to want to follow me. So I need to get him a job. So, our profit margin, let's just say, weren't
great in the early days.
But actually, it took us, until the end of 2022. I got more stuff, the contract that I work on, that I helped to grow for that prime that I work on. I helped him to grow. The PM practically do anything I ask him to for, because I'm trying to save him. So he got me a bunch of positions to bring in, and we just from there, spiral down.
Yeah. So those first, 3 or 4 folks, what were their skill sets?
Integration and test. So Vidoori, when Vidoori should start, integration and test is our one discipline. We don't
like your bread and butter. Like that was your key.
And we've been like that for the past 13 years, right? Now, right? We grow to 3 other disciplines within 13 years. So you can imagine that we're not one of the small business is, everything come at us and we want to do it, right? We only do the thing that we're good at. We start out with integration and tasks. It took a little while for us to grow into somewhat data management aspect. And then next thing we know, we grow into software development, but really focus on the cloud. Then when we do that, we grow into more DevSecOps. And that's it. That's all we do. We don't do anything else. So, we turn job away because that's not really our focus, right? Because, for us, like if you want to deliver the best solution, you got to have the best resource, right? We don't just go out on the street and hiring somebody coming in and say, now we do that. That's not how that works, right? You got to build a core internally with a lot of R&D and a lot of area that we're in, right? So we don't go to the customer and say, hey, I can do this for the first time, right? A lot of those stuff we do within Vidoori first. Like we learn a lot of stuff within Vidoori, and then we take that, apply to our customer and really tailor into what they're looking for versus learn technology within a customer.
Yeah, it's an interesting model. You don't always see that approach from, companies that are, doing business with, government contract on government contracts. Oftentimes, if you're not, directly billable, sometimes having you work on something else, it's doesn't always make the most sense for the business, but doing some prototyping in house, we're seeing a big trend on this right now, especially with AI, is folks hiring, engineers that are, prototyping, more of like products that they can, integrate into some of the work that they're delivering. And so you're taking a little bit of a risk there in terms of hiring folks that aren't directly tied to a billet per se, but you're still building something that you think will add value long term for the customers. And that's sometimes a little bit of a risk that you take up front. Were you bringing folks on that maybe were pure, kind of like overhead in terms of?
Yeah, we do. So the way that we do it, as a company to be efficient, right, is took us several years to go through this process, but we always thought it's like, and we do this a lot, right? And this is the part that's my pet peeve, and I'm going to say that spend 10 seconds to talk about my pet peeve about consultancy in general, right?
Yeah.
You and I don't go hiring a plumber to go to our house to fix our plumbing when the guy who go there and learn how to do plumbing. Right. We want the guy who knows plumbing to do plumbing. Right. In the consulting world that we live in, many business that actually go into the customer and learn those stuff on the customer dime. Right.
Mm-hmm. Without having the experience.
Without having the experience. Right. With that technology and all of that stuff. If you stop for a second and think about it, that doesn't make any sense. Right. We don't do that.
It's a waste of money.
You really using the customer dime when they're supposed to hire you as an expert to do the thing. You using that dime to learning the technology. That's robbery, in my opinion, right? Mm-hmm. So we've been talked through that, a lot of that stuff internally when we grow into different discipline outside integration and test, because we know integration and test already, right? So that we didn't have to do a lot of R&D. I have that compile from Lockheed. I had a lot of people that used to work for me from Lockheed to come and do, right? So I know those set of people have the knowledge and know how to do those stuff. When we grow out into data management, go out to, software development, cloud native, and eventually DevSecOps, one of the things we look at is how do we do that? How do we build that knowledge base internally before we go to the customer? And one of the things that we struggle, and then we figured out, why don't we develop a product within Vidoori? Right. So now you have learning a lot of the technology, but what you get out of it is you get a product out of it.
Yeah.
So you kind of kill two birds with one stone, and then what we build an engine to it. So we bring new people into that product, internal product development, have them learn all of that stuff. And then when they ready, we make them billable. And we keep building that engine, right? So for us, you don't R&D something throw away, but you R&D something as a product, right? At the end of the day, you still invest money in, but you got a product, and hopefully we can sell the product, which we are been selling that product, and we need to put more effort into sell that product now, right? But we have the product at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, it's a creative way of also grooming those skills and doing it ethically. You're not doing it on the customer's dime. You're doing that on your own accord. And I agree. I think that's a big problem that you see across a lot of government contracting is folks taking advantage of the system. And where are we in right now? It's a very interesting time in government contracting. I think a lot of that is a result of how folks abuse the system.
Oh yeah, big time. My opinion.
We could create a whole episode around that. So I'm gonna stick back to the journey and the story. All right, so Vidoori at this point, right? You've kind of gone off on your own. You've got some work already kind of lined up. You've got a few folks that are coming on board with you at this point. What was it that kind of led you to the path that almost like this aha moment that you're building a business, and what were some of those like key milestones in your opinion that were almost essential to take you from point A to point B as a small business owner?
I wish I'd be able to tell you I have a grand master plan how to go from here to here, like business plan 5, 10, 6 year. Honestly, even though starting Vidoori, I really start Vidoori with, a very fundamental principle, right? And making money isn't one of them, not on the top three. And people are like, are you serious? I was like, yeah, I'm serious, right? Working in this industry for, 13, 14 years, right, with Lockheed Martin, one of the things that I logic a lot is we in this consultant business, technically you in the people business, right? You're not consultant, you in the people business. That is your bread and butter. That is your secret sauce is the people. And as you can see, a lot of large company, Lockheed Martin or IBM and all of those stuff, how much time do you think they focus on building the people?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it used to be back in the day when I start, if you don't have, a contract, they sit you on overhead and they find out something out, they give you training. But, for the last, I would say 10, 15 years or so now, I mean, you're on overhead for 3-4 weeks, you out, you got that pink slip and you get out. So for me is how you treat people, right? That's number one. And that's first and foremost, that what I want. I want to be able to treat people the right way because that is your most important assets in this business. So that's one of the things that we're doing within Vidoori, how to build them, how all of those stuff, and deliver to the customer. That's very important to me, right? Many business that I'm in, and I share with you, and that's a story that you probably hear across on the industry, right? Big, small, right? Is all about revenue, right? It's all about how much butt in the seat that I'm going to put into the contract, right? How much revenue I'm going to get, because most of the director who own the account, they bonus based on the revenue they bring in. So guess what they're going to do? They're going to increase that revenue as fast as they possibly can to bring in. I know contract that they start 300 people on day one. It's like, God forbid, how you can find work for 300 people on day one, let alone, anything, right? So, that for me, that a logic to it, right? And at the end of the day, if you want to take care of your customer in turn take care of you, right? In a way, right? And that's just for me that our first slogan in Vidoori is focus on deliver excellent. I would say the first 10 years of Vidoori, I would say most of our business is comeback business. Like, we work for somebody, they want it to come back, they want to grow it in there, they refer it to somebody. Like we don't do a lot of proposal. In another way that we're not great in proposal writing.
Yeah.
Because we really focus on delivery. It's not a great business plan, by the way. That's not the best in the world out there. I know company that putting out 30 proposal a year. That's a lot of proposal. I mean, I barely put out 3 if I'm lucky.
Wow.
Right? But a lot of our business the first 10 years is that. So for me, that is it, right? That is for me the focus for me to start Vidoori. I wasn't have a plan, and it just naturally happened. For me, is everything else would take care of itself, and it lead up to for us, 2012 when we were there. We took 3 years. We got our first census contract. We really deliver. Right. And then we got into a larger contract. And with census right now, I mean, we practically dominate across the board within census in terms of, where do we apply? Where do we exist? And they know Vidoori name, right? They know Vidoori name. They understand what we can and cannot do. They involve into all the critical stuff, right? I mean, I'm talking all the way up into the assistant director.
Wow.
So,
yeah, that's great. I mean, that's, oftentimes, I can relate to this because, the way that we kind of grew was, you get a couple of anchor accounts and you deliver a quality project for those, a quality product for those key anchors, right? Ideally, you're hitching your wagon to, a customer that's also kind of expanding or growing. So then when you have folks that are kind of rotating maybe from that organization, they're going somewhere else and they're pulling you along because they remember that delivery, right? And so I think about, that point you made about not really needing to do extensive sales because it's all kind of referral based. That's a testament to the quality of work that you guys put forward. So that's really impressive. What's the size of Vidoori at this point from a headcount perspective?
We're about in 100. But the important part of Vidoori is we don't hire people unless we see them have a long-term future with Vidoori, right? If we don't have a long-term future with Vidoori, we usually sub it out to our partner. If it's not part of our full quote, we sub it out to our partner. So our turnover rate is single digit because we don't hire people for our project, and when project over, we let them go. That's not how we do it, right? We're hiring people for long term. We're rolling from project to project because we see their skill set align with our core capability, right? We do plenty of other things, but we have partner very focused on those area. Like we have contractor, we support security, but we have entire partner who all they do is security. They support the needs of us, they deliver, we have a management sit on top of it, but they know security, right?
Sure.
So don't like that. So, people will always ask, how people have the company. We don't have a lot because we only do 4 things, right? I mean, we can, how many people you need to do those 4 things? But we have a lot of partners around us, counting sub and all of that stuff that's a lot more higher.
Yeah. Not trying to be a jack of all trades. You got your core competencies, and keeps you pretty grounded. Where's the company headquartered?
It's in New Carrollton, Maryland. So literally right by the station, New Carrollton station.
Yeah.
In Hyattville, we can technically walk to the station in 3 minutes.
Nice. What's the I guess the office policy? What do folks come in 5 days a week? Is it hybrid?
We recommend it. We're still working through this. We recommend people to come to the office, 2 times a week, right? And what we recommend is not just the people come in, but the team coming, right? I personally think 5 days a week in the office is long gone, right? Now, certainly our federal government didn't think that way, but our 5 days a week is long gone, right? People know how to work remote. People can really bring people on 2 days in the office to really build that personal relationship, build a team, right? Build a culture within the company and all of those stuff. So we recommend people to come in into Vidoori 2 times a week, and at least at the minimum, one of those days, your entire team come in.
Sure.
Right. So we have people come spread out across from Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
People come.
It's an interesting, model, which I think is being more and more so replicated. Is this like a hybrid concept, right? To do fully remote, it's very challenging. It's very difficult.
We try. It not work out well for us.
Yeah. Well, a lot of companies had to, right? And then, then you make a decision of, can we bring it back in? If so, how often? And, we were a company that worked in person about 2 days a week before the pandemic. We're, a majority remote, but everybody was really local. To have those 2 days pulled away were super detrimental to our business. We really felt it from a culture perspective. So it sounds like we kind of touched on it in the beginning of the conversation, right? Where the importance of having those in-person interactions, it's not just, the relationships that you're building, from a business perspective, but it's how you're helping that your team to, leverage their future by building those relationships with the other folks of Vidoori. So it's tricky. I can tell you from a recruiting perspective, you always get a little bit of kickback from engineers that, feel like they can do anything fully remote and then not the need to come in, but it's more around, from a cultural perspective. That seems like something that you're really sticking to.
We don't even interview people unless they come in person.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a smart approach. I mean, I think, it's a different time than it was, 3 or 4 years ago. So I think those are important, areas for companies to adapt to.
Which I think it's a give and taste, right? It's for last piece in here, give and taste, right? We understand DC metro area is interesting.
Challenging
in terms of commute. And one of the things that's what I'm saying we recommend is like we operate in most of our all hand and all that stuff is we told people like, if it's pool rain out there, don't try to come to the office.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you're going to sit in the traffic for an hour or 2 hours just to try to get here. Don't do anyone any good. Snow, don't try to come to the office. Right. That big event in here and you see the traffic, don't come to the office. Right. I mean, we understand that. And we also recommend people not try to show up on during rush hour either. Right.
Right.
So there's a thing you have to give and taste on it, right? We want people to come in. We want to build people come in, build a relationship. It does does not make a difference. They come in at 8 or at 10, right? It doesn't matter, right? So, I mean, I think that's the thing that we have to find the fine balance in between because more people want to come, but they also don't want to sit in traffic either, right? So you got to understand that part of it. So.
There's got to be a line that's drawn in terms of, you know, if you're not going to be productive by spending half your day in traffic, then what are we doing? You know, so right, exactly. I think that's a great philosophy. And it sounds like, you know, it's been something that, you know, the team has kind of, you know, rallied behind as well, considering that it sounds like you've got a pretty long tenure there
we do. And we Lika actually leading the effort. We don't have HR anymore. We have a people and culture department, no longer HR, and really focus on what do we do with them here. So she got a lot of activity going on, a lot of game, the break that have game and competition that going. Just we buy lunch for everyone when they showed up here, like all of those stuff that we got to make people feel the benefit of coming, right? At the end of the day, what in it for them besides just a paycheck, right? What in it for them to come to the office?
Yeah, so, you know, for listeners that don't understand, Lika is running, you know, people operations type of stuff at Vidoori. So in our discovery call, you know, she was telling me about the culture there and, you know, pool table, ping pong table, you know, complimentary lunches. At the end of the call, I was like, I'm interested in exploring opportunities with Vidoori. It seems like you guys are really putting a lot of emphasis into building a culture for your team, and that's fantastic to hear. Let's kind of close on you know, a little bit on the outlook of the future here. I know it's tough to wrap our heads around with all the changes taking place in the government today. But you know, what is it that you feel that kind of, you know, has separated Vidoori apart from the pack that you foresee, you know, success in the next, say, 3 to 5, 10 years?
So I would say stay still, right? Stay with our core fundamental, our core. How did we get here, right? Get here for the past 13 years. What did we do to get here the past 13 years? We know how to deliver. We focus on deliver. We build a good product. We deliver the most cost-effective way, not cheap, the most cost-effective way, because cheap is different, right? Mm-hmm. Be effective on them. Focus on things that important, right? So that's why we look at where technology go, where we go, how do we apply new technology to help our customer to be successful, how we make our customer operation go more effective. And I think God know what's going to happen tomorrow with this, everything going right now, right? But for us, we feel good about ourselves because what we do is essential, right? We're not doing training. We're not do video conference. We're not do a lot of those stuff that easier to cut. What we do is very core into whatever area that we're in, right? And for me, you know, just like us, right? Personal finance part of us, right? Is I'm sure we go through our finance and cut our budget, our personal finance. You don't cut the one that core, right? You don't stop go to buy bread and burger and egg, right? That's the thing you cut. You cut everything else, right?
Right.
So that's what we try to focus on, right? In Vidoori is really do what matter the most, right? Focus on their business, what make and break it our customer business, and deliver the excellent. So when they go pick who they're gonna drop, I hope they not drop the guy who deliver consistently, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I love that, you know, this is what got you here. It's going to be what, you know, takes you to the next stage as well. And then is there meaning behind the name Vidoori? Do you get this question a lot? I'm curious.
Yeah, I got a question a lot. Is vision. Vidoori is build vision. Let me say that's not the first reason why we picked the name. I picked the name based on the availability domain name. I didn't like, company name, INC and something. I want company name.com. That's it, right? Out of anything. I'm very particular.
Yeah.
So we go through a lot of those stuff. And it's like, what's available? Like the 3-letter taking, the 4-letter taking, the 5, the 6, and then the 7. And then it's like, I want something that meaningful, something that, a domain name available, right? And something that's easy for people to remember, right? Vidoori, fairly easy to remember, right?
Yeah.
Now, people confuse that with like tandoori, which is the food, an Indian food. No.
I like that. Vidoori is vision. All right. Well, that's a wrap on the episode. Now, before we end, we always run a fun little rapid fire Q&A segment called the 5-second scramble. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Try to answer them within 5 seconds. Some business, some personal. You ready?
All right. Ready.
All right. If Vidoori were an animal, which one would it be, and why?
A bird.
Any reason?
Because I'm free to fly wherever I want.
Yeah, I like it. What's a skill that every employee at Vidoori needs to succeed?
Interpersonal skill. Communication.
What's a recent win at Vidoori that made everyone celebrate?
Our e-test contract, which we've been working for a year, and we finally took over that e-test contract.
Nice.
That's the reason, and the customer want us. No, that's a bigger reason with all of the effort we put in for 6-7 years.
That's awesome. Hard work paying off.
Yeah, absolutely. Eventually, at some point.
What are the top tech roles that you're hiring for today?
We try to grow on AI. We not say that Vidoori do AI. We do quite AI in our software development. We do want to get deep into AI. So we are looking to hiring an AI expert. We partner with a lot of companies that have AI, right? Mm-hmm. Background, but we want to start growing on them. So we can't say that we do AI yet. We're still growing. Mm-hmm. Some point. The next couple of years.
Any other specific roles that you want to shout out?
I would say, in terms for us, we don't look at technology. We look at force people that can learn technology quickly, right? Mm-hmm. Because technology today, tomorrow will be entirely different. Yeah. So a lot of things that we're looking for is how can they grow?
Yeah. So it sounds like that's why kind of that AI shout out makes sense. What is a charity or a corporate philanthropy that's near and dear to you?
American Heart Association. We've been sponsored that for many, many years. We have one employee that we have that part of his thing, and we're supporting him. So that with many of them, but American Heart Association is the big one.
Nice. What is the first app that you check in the morning?
My team message.
Yeah. That sounds about right. Sounds like a true CEO, founder. What is the worst fashion trend that you've ever followed?
Short and t-shirt.
I think we'd have to see a picture of that. And then, what was your dream job as a kid?
Businessman, actually.
Hey.
Not specific to technology, but I grew up and say I want to do business. And I go to IT and my parents were like, I thought you want to do business. I was like, yeah, but I need to learn how to do business. I need to have domain knowledge to do business in that domain. So that's my
you're following your dreams. I love it. All right. Well, that is a wrap. I wanted to thank you for joining us on the podcast, Trong. We're excited for the future of Vidoori and what you guys are building. I love hearing it's a great, the American dream kind of painted right there, in your story. So, a feel good, journey. And, we're rooting for you guys. Excited to see the next chapter for Vidoori. Thanks for joining us on the pod.
Thank you.